Hey guys, this is a video I didn't expect to be making at all, but I've decided I will take this opportunity. I will choose to take this Saturday off of my normal schedule and instead just make a pretty brief, just a few remarks on what's going on in the world. For those who are somehow unaware, Ukraine was just invaded by Russia. And by the time this video goes up, they have probably completed their invasion because they have 200,000 troops, the last time I heard, that have surrounded Ukraine, and they went all in starting in the early hours of Thursday. So it's history's not going to treat Putin very kindly. I mean, that much I really do hope for. I really do hope for. If somehow there were people, well, most notably Tucker Carlson, if there were people who admired him, um, or were on shaky terms about whether or not he was an okay leader, this basically throws any respect someone, or at least a sane person, would have right out the window. Because traditional, or at the bare minimum, popular consensus were to say, don't invade a country that doesn't want to be a part of you anymore. But, I mean, just like here in the U.S., how we've started to slowly learn our lesson about nation building and invasions and wars in the Middle East, Russia should start learning from its own past of invasions and wars and attempting to nation build in countries that don't want it there. Ukraine is its biggest example, as far as I'm aware, and now it wants Ukraine back. And Ukraine no longer wants to be a part of Russia, and it sees Russia as a threat. Again, there is so much history to this conflict up until just this past Thursday. I think there's probably at least almost 1,000 years or so of worth of history on this topic, because Ukraine and Russia have kind of they've been frenemies, and of course now they're enemies, full-time enemies now that they're being invaded. But at one point they were friends, then they were enemies, then they were friends, and now they're kind of frenemies, well, until Thursday, and then once the invasion began, they were full-blown enemies once again. So this entire conflict is just, I mean, it's really shaky. It's really shaky. I mean, if you're not careful about where the timeline starts as far as conflicts and cultural differences and all this sort of stuff goes, you don't truly get the full picture of this invasion, especially when it comes to the collapse of the Soviet Union and the USSR, and then you start looking at the rebuilding of Russia, and of course Ukraine trying to be its own country after the USSR collapsed, and all this huge stuff. So I'm not going to lecture you at all because I don't know the whole story, but I do know that there are some videos out there that have been released in light of the invasion that explain that situation much better than I ever could. This video is really just me informing you guys, or more or less instructing you guys, to please stand with Ukraine because they need it right now. They really do. I'm just hoping, my only real original thoughts on this situation, as far as thoughts that I don't think not as many people have on the situation, is just, I'm hoping this doesn't continue. I think it will, though. I think the idea that Putin might be eyeing another country will help escalate the world to a third world war. A third world war would be catastrophic. And how that starts is basically by eyeing up another non-NATO country. And one by one, he's going to start looking over his options. And then he will attack. I don't understand why people like Putin really believe that doing this stuff is beneficial to him. It's not beneficial to the people of Russia. It's not beneficial to the people of Ukraine. It's not beneficial for people of Crimea or Belarus. It's not beneficial to the people of the world. It's only beneficial to Vladimir Putin. So it's not entirely out of the question if he's going to strike again on another non-NATO country as far away as, let's say, Finland, for example. There's a fascinating part to this, and of course that's the question of what happens after Ukraine. Whether it's fully taken over, or somehow it becomes a huge failure of an invasion and Ukraine defies all odds and beats the invasion. regardless of what the outcome is, I just wonder what the hell's going to happen after Ukraine. Is it just Ukraine he wants? Or is he going to start looking at other countries he would like to take over? Because you know for a fact that someone who just does this as bluntly and as forcefully as Putin, this isn't something of, this is mine and I want it back. This is his way of retribution. Or at least, again, this is a delusion of retribution. In actuality, he has now painted himself a worser picture, a worse public image that the people of the world had on him than before. Again, I don't understand politics. I don't understand politics in its entirety. Don't listen to me when it comes to political commentary, all right? I'm not some reliable person. I'm not some political streamer who somehow thinks he knows, everything about politics, son. But I'm just kind of making this video to let you guys a simple message. Just stand with Ukraine, okay? Stand with Ukraine. That's it for the video. See you next Saturday.